This is a quick introduction to using the blend tool, and this is a way of interpolating between shapes or lines or forms. You can do some cool stuff with it. So for example, I can highlight, I've got a rectangle here and a triangle here, and if I highlight both of these shapes and I go to Object, Blend, and Blend Options, and I want to do this step first so I can see what my options are. If you haven't used the blend tool previously, this option for make will be grayed out. So you have to go to blend options first. And inside here, you can see you've got specified steps, smooth color, or specified distance. For right now, we're going to focus on specified steps. And this allows us to say, how many shapes do I want to make to get from this one on the left to this one on the right, or from the right to the left. And so I could say, I want 4 shapes in that transition. And then I say okay, and nothing happens. And that's because we need to go back to Object and go to Blend, and now we go to Make. And it's going to create these series of shapes between our 2 forms. And this is pretty cool because it's a way of thinking about transforms. You can also move around these shapes. So if I select on the outside and I shrink this down, those inner shapes are going to move with it. And if I increase the amount of shapes, so if I go back to Object, Blend, Blend Options, then I could change this to something like 10, say okay, and it's going to update. If I want to move around this path, I can add anchor point, go to my white arrow tool, click on this anchor point I just made, and now I can actually drag that up. And if I want that to be curved, I can go into the anchor point tool and curve it around to change this to a Bezier curve. And now we've got sort of an exponential path moving on our form. So this is one way you can work with it. If you have your shapes like this, notice that I cannot select these forms, right? To do that, I go to Object, Blend, and Expand. And that is going to expand all of those shapes into individual ones, but notice that I have to right click and ungroup them to be able to select them. So now when I click off, I can have this one slide up a little bit. And now we've got something about, and it's not uniform anymore. There's a bit of disruption in our path. The other cool way you can use this is, say I have a line. Let's actually just use my pen tool for this. I'm going to make one, make another one over here, and make another one over here. It also interpolates between color as well. So if this path is yellow or green, increase this a little bit. This path is red, and this path is blue. I can select all 3 of these, Object, Blend, Blend Options. Now I could do a smooth color, which would perfectly transform between these, but I'm gonna actually not use this one since we aren't dealing too much with color on this specific project. If I do specified steps, and let's see if I do, let's do 20 between them, and then Object, Blend, and Make. Notice that it's going to create this sort of gradient form. So it's going to adapt between these colors. And I can slide and select this one. I could go into my anchor points, go to A, slide this around. It's going to make a nice curve here. This one, I could even bring this one back, right? So you can do a lot with this to get these neat sort of wavy effects. And we saw this a little bit in the distort and transform tool as well. Finally, it doesn't just work on simple shapes like this. You can also have shapes like this, right? If you are at a doctor's office and they're like, hey, how are you feeling? And they're going to ask you to point to a chart that says, I have a smiley face or I'm a frowny face, and I want to quickly make an interpolation between these 2 points. Select both of these, and let's make sure they are aligned using our align tool. and then object, pattern, blend options. And let's just do 4 steps between them, and then object, blend, and make. And now we're gonna have this, sometimes it'll work, sometimes it doesn't, but now you get the color transition between these two shapes, as well as the form inside them. So this is a basic introduction to the blend tool, and definitely recommend checking it out.